Chapter 201, Darling, you're too naive. Watching others enjoy the meat, I might not even get a sip of the broth. That's really frustrating. But I'm still young, only 25, while they are in their 40s or 50s, or even 56. They can only make a move now. If they miss this chance, they'll have to wait until retirement. All I can do is strengthen myself, become the most skilled doctor at the Provincial People's Hospital. This way, even if I leave the hospital, I can find a solid footing elsewhere. Fang Hao felt a bit frustrated, but he was quickly overwhelmed by a strong sense of self-affirmation. Who am I, where am I, and what am I doing? Fang Hao was very clear about his position. Coming from the countryside, he was an ordinary general practitioner who needed to establish himself in Jiangdong City. He had a loving wife, but she was a cheating woman. He wanted revenge on his wife and her lover, making them pay the price. After chatting with Liu for a while, he went to the outpatient clinic. After seeing 5 or 6 patients, Li Rongzi came in. She said, "Director Fang, can we talk for a moment? What's the matter? If it's about your issues again, I don't have time now. Let's talk after I finish the clinic." Fang Hao issued a clear order. Li Rongzi's medical skills were mediocre, and she lacked insight. At most, she was a submissive dog in front of Luo Xuejuan. "Okay, I'll wait for you after work." Li Rongzi could only leave. She thought to herself, "Fang Hao, you're impressive now, but after Director Luo takes over, will you still have a say here?" The head nurse kindly reminded Fang Hao, "Director, the reputation of Dr. Li among us nurses isn't very good. She's a bit arrogant, and she often reports to the new head. We don't dare to say anything about her." "Yeah, I know. I'll be careful. Let the next patient in." Fang Hao nodded. He would focus on his work. Who would be afraid of someone like Li Rongzi? Moreover, with the abilities of people like Luo Xuejuan and Li Rongzi, mistakes were bound to happen in their future work, just like with Li Xiaoxi. So, they were far from being perfect and untouchable. The next patients were all common gynecological cases, and the diagnosis and treatment were straightforward. After finishing work, Fang Hao went to the office. Just as he took a sip of water, Li Rongzi came in. "Director Fang, can I invite you for a meal?" Li Rongzi smiled, the first time she smiled at Fang Hao since she came to the gynecology department these past few days. "No need. I don't accept rewards for no merit. Director Luo asked me to invite you. She has understood the situation and knows that if it weren't for you, that patient would have died. You saved a life. Director Luo is busy, so she can't personally accompany you. She entrusted me to invite you. We're all doctors, all with the purpose of treating and saving lives. There's no need to be so polite. If Director Luo insists, we can talk about it when she comes." Fang Hao refused, tidied up the files on his desk, and left work. "Toasting without eating? You don't appreciate kindness. Do you think I'm willing to invite you to dinner?" "Bah." Li Rongzi was rejected again and felt very unhappy. She left with resentment and silent grumbling. Fang Hao had dinner and went home to rest. In the afternoon, he continued the clinic. On the other side, Suro finished her morning break and arrived at the company around 2:30 in the afternoon. At the gate, she asked, "Is there a package for me?" "No." "Oh, Director Su, your husband was here this morning and also asked." "There's really nothing now," the security guard said. "I see." Suro's heart trembled suddenly. She realized that her husband was still investigating her. After parking her car, she entered the office. She checked the decorations inside, especially the drawers, and found no traces of being searched. She looked around the office, took out her phone, and opened the app to search for hidden cameras. There were none installed. She breathed a sigh of relief but was puzzled. Why did Fang Hao come to her company? Knock, knock. Outside, the supervisor entered, smiling at Su Ro. "The chairman wants you to go over for a moment, regarding the handover of your work." "Work handover? Don't you know yet? Your husband came to the company this morning. He found Yue Xia directly and asked her to fire you, making you a full-time housewife. Xiao Ro, your husband is young, handsome, considerate, you're really lucky. This? I'll talk to Yue Xia later. I'll find you afterward." Su Ro was shocked, never expecting that Fang Hao would orchestrate such a move, forcing her to resign without any discussion. She asked the supervisor to leave first, then quickly considered a countermeasure. Fang Hao's reason for asking her to resign should be her pregnancy, the most significant excuse. What benefits does he have if I resign? Help take care of the child? Take care of the house? Reduce my time spent outside? Or does he want me to have plenty of free time for something else? Is he laying a trap for me, waiting for me to expose myself? Darling, you're too naive. Su-ro quickly figured out the key points and made another call with a different SIM card. This time, she called her old perverted neighbor, telling him that she intended to resign from Jiolong. No problem. Little Su-su, you're at home now, making it even more convenient for me to visit you. You're going to die. There are cameras at the neighbor's door, and last time, you exposed yourself in the video, which fell into my husband's hands. I barely managed to find an excuse to cover it up. If you make me passive again, what do you think? He knows about me, but he couldn't find me. It shows that he's incapable. Why are you so anxious? Moreover, isn't this more exciting? You absolutely can't come to my house again, or I will never see you again. I'll do what I say. Su-ro hung up the phone. Her relationship with her husband was delicate at the moment. Even if she asked the court to withdraw her husband's divorce lawsuit, his desire for divorce remained. She always felt like there was a sword hanging over her head. After organizing her thoughts, she went to find Zoyun. Xiao-ro, although your husband mentioned his difficulties, I also told him that you are my capable assistant, and I won't easily let you go. How about this, I'll put you on unpaid leave. You can decide when to come back from now until you give birth. Whenever you want to come to work, just let me know. One more thing, after the child is born, I want to be their godmother. Zoyun was efficient, calling another finance personnel to transfer some money to Su-ro. Su-ro didn't say much. She went back to hand over her work and then went to the hospital, booking an appointment with Fang Hao. After waiting for about an hour, it was finally her turn. Why are you here? Fang Hao was surprised to see Su-ro. Director, just now, Director Liu arranged something for me. I'll go deal with it first. The head nurse knew that Su-ro was Fang Hao's wife, and it seemed like the couple had something important to discuss, so she excused herself. I'm here for a prenatal checkup. Don't forget, I'm a pregnant woman. How come you're treating me differently? Su-ro smiled fondly. You're not even 10 weeks pregnant. What kind of prenatal checkup are you talking about? Come back next week. Fang Hao knew the hospital's walls had ears. Arguing here might be overheard by someone. The child in his wife's belly could be his, but it might also be her lover's. At the moment, he couldn't be sure. Chapter 202, Unless I Die. Wife, why don't you rest in my dormitory for a while, and then we can talk, have a good chat. Su-ro took Fang Hao's keys, shook them playfully, and said, I want to see if you've hidden any nurses. If you have, you're in big trouble. Humph. With that, she left triumphantly. Fang Hao hastily concluded his clinic and went straight to the dormitory, where he found his wife lying on his bed. He asked, what's going on? Did you agree to sign? Su-ro snorted, husband, you've gone too far. You didn't discuss it with me in advance. This morning, you went to my company, found the chairman, and asked her to dismiss me. Shouldn't you give me an explanation? Fang Hao was unimpressed. So, that's what it's about. If I told you in advance, would you have listened? Would you have resigned? Yes. Really? Do you think I just met you today? Alright, did Zoyun agree to your resignation? Yue Xia has been good to me. If it weren't for her, I wouldn't have found such a good job. This time, she didn't deduct my salary and even gave me some extra. So, you two are birds of a feather. You can't say that about Yue Xia. Su-ro, since you've resigned and stayed at home, then take responsibility for raising the child. Tonight, I'll arrange a night shift, and I won't come back at night. What? You can't not come back. The child's meals and me, who's carrying our child, also need you. No, you don't need me. If it weren't for your interference, the court should have already ruled on our divorce. Su-ro, even if you don't agree to sign now, how long can you delay it? Half a year? It's still going to end in divorce. After the divorce, you take Jia Jia, and I'll take Tian Tian. You have to learn to take care of Jia Jia now. You're not short of money. If you can't take care of the child, hire a nanny. Fang Hao didn't want to argue. Why are you bringing up divorce again? Can't you avoid it? How can you avoid it when you've done something wrong to me? I need to tolerate you until the new year? Let's divorce, don't torment me. I haven't done anything wrong. How many times do I have to say it for you to believe me? No matter how many times you say it, I won't believe you because I've seen through you. Husband, let me tell you. No matter how many times you bring it up, I won't divorce you. Unless I die. Su-ro finished speaking, gave a disdainful snort, turned around, and left. You cheated. Shouldn't I ask for a divorce? Fang Hao sat dejectedly in his chair, looking dull. Su-ro said she wouldn't divorce him unless she died. He was somewhat touched, but then he felt worried. He knew his wife was clever and cunning. Once she didn't agree to a divorce, she would undoubtedly find various ways to sabotage it. Making a scene in court, holding the pregnant woman card, she would take the moral high ground, and the judge might not grant the divorce. If I don't do anything, won't I be giving an advantage to this cheating couple? Fang Hao pondered and suddenly received a call from Zhang Jun, inviting him to a dinner appointment at the Shanghai Hotel in the evening. He thought he could inquire about Jiangdong Construction Company and agreed to attend. Over there. Su Rou arrived at the dean's office and gestured for the secretary to leave, wanting to talk to Yang Wenjun alone. Yang Wenjun glanced up at Su Rou and, seeing her face, couldn't help but be reminded of Zhou Fen's younger days. She felt uncomfortable and asked, "What are you here for?" Su Rou directly said, "Aunt Yang, do you know why you lost to my mom back then?" Yang Wenjun frowned and said, "I can tell you're here to bring up old matters. What do you want to say?" Su Rou said, "Dismiss my husband." "Dismiss Fang Hao? What's the reason?" "Because I don't like him being a doctor. I want him to have a better future. Being a doctor is tough, doesn't make much money, and leaves him with no time for me." Su Rou spoke directly, starting with hints and then coming straight to the point, saying, "Aunt Yang, if I don't tell you, you'll never know why you lost to my mom. You are too indecisive. For these 4 years, you must have been unhappy with my husband because he's my mom's son-in-law. If it were me, I wouldn't have let Fang Hao become a regular doctor for years ago. Now, if you don't dismiss him, it's like when you liked my dad and wanted to pursue him but didn't dare to take action, and in the end, you missed out. But my mom is different. She seizes opportunities and goes for it, directly winning my dad. My mom is the winner, and you are the loser. Aunt, do you still want to be a loser? You?" Yang Wenjun slapped the table, stood up directly from her seat, and moved so fast that Su Rou's brain felt a bit oxygen-deprived. The surroundings briefly dimmed, and she quickly held onto the desk, took a breath, and coldly said, "Girl, you're very rude today. Are you here to teach me how to live? If I listen to you, I'll fall into your trap. You are just like your mom, not a good person. Not worth trusting. Whether to dismiss Fang Hao or not is the hospital's affair, and you have no say in it. Go out, turn right, and don't let the door hit you." She asked Su Rou to leave, then called Fang Hao, finding his phone busy. She called Lu Yu and asked her to inform Fang Hao to come up immediately. Lu Yu, upon hearing the loud noise and harsh tone from Yang Wenjun, was a bit stunned. She thought, why is Yang Wenjun so angry? She went to find Fang Hao and went together to see Yang Wenjun. "Fang Hao, did you provoke the dean again?" "No. But she urgently wants to see you, not in a good mood. It's strange. When you go in later, don't speak first, observe the situation quietly." Yang Wenjun told Fang Hao to close the door and directly scolded him. "Fang Hao, what kind of game are you playing with your wife? Do you think my place is where you can mess around?" Fang Hao was at a loss. It seemed he had caused trouble again, but he hadn't done anything. Lu Yu said, "Old Yang, don't just vent your anger. First, tell us the reason. Fang Hao has been on duty all the time, and nothing has happened." Yang Wenjun briefly explained the provocative and disrespectful words Su Rou used to irritate her. She looked at Fang Hao and said, "Didn't you say you were divorcing her? How come she opens her mouth with one husband and closes it with another? She even thinks for you, feeling that you're wasting your talent at the Provincial People's Hospital, wanting me to dismiss you. You need to explain this." Lu Yu quickly said, "Old Yang, don't listen to Su Rou. That girl is eloquent and cunning. If you listen to her, who knows where she'll lead you. You can't let her interfere in our hospital's affairs. Turn right when you leave, and don't let the door hit you." Fang Hao left after Yang Wenjun waved her hand. Lu Yu didn't leave, she stayed and thoughtfully said, "Old Yang, are you sure you can't determine the next one? Is the recommendation for Zhou Long uncertain?" "Zhou Long? It's a bit tricky. I have a feeling that this time it's going to be a major change and a big shuffle." "High profile? There's actually such a thing. Old Yang, give me a little inside information." Chapter 203, So Lovable. Su Rou had just left the dormitory and came to find Yang Wenjun, urging her to dismiss me. Is she so anxious because I've stimulated her? Indeed, I made her leave Jiulong Group, which might have been one of the places she met her lover. Now that it's gone, she definitely won't let it go without a fight. Go ahead, find your lover. Let him come up with strategies for you, let him target me. I'm in the hospital now, with Lu Yu covering for me. Staying in the gynecology department should be fine. Even if Lu Yu retires again, there's still Lu Jing's support. If I can't stay in gynecology, I can go to the outpatient department. Oh, right, the Su family also has connections with the health bureau. If they transfer me to the health bureau, that would be really tough. No promotion, low salary, how can I support my family? Divorcing would be even more difficult. Fang Hao stood on the corridor, taking a few deep drags of his cigarette, his face extremely solemn. A few minutes later, Liu came over and, brushing away the smoke with her hand, said, "Smoking such low-quality cigarettes and puffing so hard, do you not care about your life?" Fang Hao quickly put out the cigarette, flicked the ash, and said, "Did the dean fire me? Don't worry. Gynecology can't do without you right now. She doesn't want trouble in gynecology, so she has to continue using you." Really? Isn't Luo Xuejuan coming? Even if Luo Xuejuan is coming, the dean isn't sure about her abilities. The dean is also worried about another incident like the last time with the pregnant woman losing the baby. If that happens, she'll retire without any glory. She's also troubled, she's afraid that recommending Zhou Long will fail. If a strong candidate is brought in from above, she'll completely withdraw from this stage. Fang Hao looked at the hospital's main building and said, "I thought I'd lose my job. It seems I'm still needed here. Old Yang has worked here for a lifetime. She already regards this place as a part of herself. She won't easily let go. Fang Hao, it's you instead. With my experience and the things I've been through, your divorce isn't going smoothly, but there's hope for a better future. Marriage can bring happiness, but it can also bring depression. Hang in there. If things really don't work out, compromise with Su Ro on the marriage side. Don't let it affect your medical career. No compremos. But I know how to handle it. I won't let her affect my medical work. I believe in you." Liu didn't say much more, but she thought, "Fang Hao, are you really that heartless? You don't seem like it." On the road, Su Ro received a call from that person. He said, Su, come over tonight." Su Ro replied, "Okay, I'll bring my mom. She has been wanting to meet you." The person chuckled, "Hee, I don't want to see your mom. I just met her recently. I only want to see you. I know you're not feeling well right now. I've prepared some soul-soothing words for you. I guarantee it will make you feel happy." Su Ro bit her lip slightly. Indeed, she was not happy right now. Fang Hao's sudden visit to Sister Yun forced her to take a long break. When she went to find Fang Hao, he even brought up divorce. The outcome was that she lost her job, and her husband still wanted a divorce. She felt really aggrieved. Right now, she really wanted to seek solace in that person's embrace because he would comfort her, understand what she was thinking, and do what she wanted. Even the sugar in her mouth was afraid of melting. But she resisted because it was obviously Fang Hao's intentional plan. He wanted her to go find that person, giving him a chance to catch her. In the past, she would definitely find a way to secretly meet that person, even if just for a while, to provoke him. She felt that she could keep her husband in the dark. But now, she didn't dare to take the risk. Her husband suddenly became smarter, and frighteningly so. There was also one more thing. There was a place in her heart that had been conquered, and now it had Fang Hao's shadow. A voice whispered in her ear, "Only your husband is a real man, only he can satisfy you. If you leave him, you won't get him." She said, "My husband won't be home tonight. He made me lose my job, told me to take care of the children, and confidently took on a night shift." The person said, "That's perfect. I'll come to see you. I bought a place upstairs and downstairs from you. You can come anytime." That was quite risky and exciting. Only that old pervert could come up with such an idea, and in reality, there was nothing that old perverts couldn't think of. She quickly said, "Recently, my mom is living with me, and she's suspicious of me. She might follow me. You, clever as you are, let little Jia come out. It almost scared my mom to death. If you play with fire again, you might really scare my mom. If that happens, how can I face you?" The person said, "All right, I'll listen to you. When you feel it's safe to see me, come find me. I've been waiting for you all this time." Su Ro said, "Don't rush. When I feel it's safe, I'll come to you. I want you to start making my husband leave the hospital. Why haven't you done it yet? Can you even do it?" The person anxiously replied, "I can, of course, I can. I'll take care of that little turtle. Don't worry. Let him go to my aunt's workplace, and he won't be able to stay. If you can't do it, I won't see you for a month." Humph. Su Ro hung up the phone, feeling much better. She opened the car stereo and listened to a prenatal music track she had just downloaded. "Fang Hao, you stinky husband. There's your child in my belly, and I've decided to give birth to it for you. Yet, you still want to divorce me. You're not respecting me at all. No, I won't divorce you. I'll make you obediently listen to me, be submissive to me. She went to the Institute of Mathematics at the Chinese Academy of Sciences, found her mother, and took the opportunity to get to know her mother's graduate students. She discovered that her mother still had influence in the field of mathematics. In the corridor, she saw a mathematical project that her mother had recently conquered. Su Ro remembered that it was an idea her husband had helped her mother with, providing the project with the correct direction and ultimately leading to its successful completion. After her mother received the project reward funds, she gave Fang Hao 600,000. Of course, this 600,000 had already been transferred to her account. Husband, you're truly amazing. Su Ro felt a bit proud, but the thought of her husband, who insisted on divorcing her, still made her feel uneasy. Zhou came out, only seeing her daughter, and asked, "Where's Fang Hao? Why didn't he come to pick me up? Hubby has something to do tonight, so he asked me to pick you up." Su Ro walked out, holding her mother's hand. After getting into the car, she said again, "From now on, I don't have to go to work. I'll pick you up every day." "Why don't you have to go to work?" "Because your son-in-law went to my company without permission, in front of the company chairman, and asked the company to dismiss me. The reason is that I'm pregnant, and we have a little one at home, so he needs me to be a housewife." "Indeed. It seems that you and him are very close. He's so considerate of you. Since you listen to him so much, divorce Fang Hao and take good care of the family." "Mom, I'm talking about Fang Hao. Why are you still asking me to divorce him? Isn't that contradictory?" "Oh, you are not talking about the new one you found?" "Mom, I haven't found anyone new. I only have Fang Hao as my husband." "Wait a minute, you said Fang Hao went to find Zhou Yun and asked Zhou Yun to dismiss you. You're making it up. What kind of person is Zhou Yun? Would she listen to Fang Hao?" "I'm not making it up. In fact, Zhou Yun agreed. Zhou Yun also agreed to let me take unpaid leave. When I want to go back to work after giving birth, I can still return to work." "Oh, really?" Zhou began to have doubts. Why was Zhou Yun so good to Su Ro? There was not much interaction between the Su family and the Zhou family with Zhou Yun. "Daughter, how can you be so likable?" Chapter 204, Those Who Recognize Value. With plenty of time on her hands, Su Ro took her mother home first. Since Fang Hao wouldn't be returning, and there was an additional neighbor's child, they decided to eat out. After booking a hotel, Su Ro went to pick up the children. After some contemplation, Zhou made a call to her husband, Su Buiyuan, who was still at East Jiang University. He mentioned that he had a dinner appointment for the evening and told her to manage on her own. "Old Su, let's talk about something important." "Wait a moment." Su Buiyuan asked his research assistant to leave the office. He then said, "Now it's just me here." "What's the matter? Speak up." Zhou said, "Fang Hao asked Xiao Ro to resign, and Zhou Yun allowed Xiao Ro to take unpaid leave, allowing her to return to work at any time after giving birth. Zhou Yun also gave her a compensation of 500,000. Although this amount is not much, I don't remember having any connection with Zhou Yun. Since Xiao Ro started working until she became the finance director, and now the favorable subsidies, what do you think? Zhou Yun seems to be trying to please Xiao Ro. How much do you know about Zhou Long and Zhou Yun?" Su Buiyuan was slightly surprised. He asked, "Let's talk about Fang Hao first. He actually made Xiao Ro resign? Didn't they divorce?" Zhou replied, "Your daughter refused to divorce. Even if Fang Hao sues in court, your daughter rejected his divorce petition." "What? Suing in court? Why is Fang Hao so impulsive? What can't be discussed properly? He has no face, and we still have face. Where is Fang Hao? Tell him to come to me immediately." Su Buiyuan was about to explode with anger. When his daughter married Fang Hao, it was already a mismatch. His colleagues had many objections, saying he ignored professional courtesy and let his daughter marry a rough country boy. Now, it had escalated to the point of divorce, truly hitting him in the face. And it was going to court, making it even more embarrassing. "Why are you yelling at me? Fang Hao and our daughter getting divorced might not be a bad thing for her. Otherwise, if the news of our daughter having an affair outside spreads, it would be even more shameful. We are both professors, how could our daughter become so ordinary and vulgar? Could it be because you set a bad example? Why are you shouting at me about this? It's hard to explain over the phone. Let's talk in detail when I get home tonight." Su Buiyuan was choked by his wife's words. He couldn't argue back, not only because his wife was not in good health, but also because he did have some issues with his own conduct. He said, "As for Zhou Long and this woman Zhou Yun, I find them somewhat familiar. Let me think about it. Oh, 2 years ago, they made a sensational deal, turning a park in the south of the city from public land to commercial land. There was a lot of controversy at the time, but they eventually succeeded. Zhou asked, turning public land into commercial land? Does Zhou Yun have that capability? Su Buiyuan said, she probably doesn't have the insight and courage. There must be someone behind her guiding her. I'll inquire about it later. Zhou said, someone guiding her? Could it be you? Su Buiyuan replied, I don't have the courage for that. I dare not touch the red line of land. This also doesn't align with my research focus. As for this someone, there are probably only 2 or 3 people in East Jiangdong City who could be considered. He hung up the phone and called Fang Hao, but it was busy. He sent a WeChat message, asking Fang Hao to call him back once he saw it. He grumbled continuously. Fang Hao was becoming more and more unruly. In fact, at this moment, Fang Hao was in the delivery room. When he was about to leave the hospital, a pregnant woman was brought in. The attending physician saw that she was already bleeding, and her consciousness was somewhat blurred. They immediately sent her to the delivery room. After a checkup, it was found that the situation was more severe than expected, and the attending physician couldn't handle it. She went to find Li Rongzi, who was present. Li Rongzi also felt a headache when she saw the condition of the pregnant woman. She didn't dare to take over, so she went to find Fang Hao. Fang Hao hurried to the delivery room. After assessing the situation, he immediately performed a cesarean section. Along the way, he experienced 2 instances of severe bleeding, both of which he managed to save. In the end, the pregnant woman's life was saved, and 2 twin boys were born safely, along with a small meatball. Director, why did this happen? The doctors and nurses present expressed their confusion. Fang Hao said, this expectant mother is pregnant with multiple babies, and her physical condition is not that good. She listened to the doctor's advice during the prenatal examination and underwent a reduction procedure. From the current results, the reduction procedure was not completely successful, and what was reduced turned into this meatball. When the mother wakes up, ask her about it and also inquire about the prenatal examination. After giving instructions and arranging the medical staff, and feeling that everything was fine, he left. He also noticed his father-in-law's call, hesitated for a moment, but still returned the call, asking him to come to the house in the evening for a talk. What's there to talk about? Pusan? Job transfer? Or Suro's divorce? After some thought, Fang Hao came up with a strategy, putting those issues aside for now, and headed to the Star Sea Hotel. Zhang Jun and his secretary were already waiting at the hotel entrance. Seeing Fang Hao approaching, they greeted him. Bro, you finally came. Zhang Jun looked well, with a lively tone, and it was hard to believe that just a month or 2 ago, he was a terminally ill liver cancer patient lying in a hospital bed waiting to die. When I was about to leave, something tricky came up, and it pulled me back. Zhang bro, you don't need to get down, just tell me the room number, and I'll come up to find you. Hello, little brother. Fang Hao exchanged greetings politely while acknowledging the secretary. Let's go upstairs first. The secretary led the way, entering the VIP elevator and going straight up. Little uncle, it seems like you're not curious or unfamiliar with the situation here. Have you been here before? Observing Fang Hao's demeanor, she couldn't help but be curious. Either he was indifferent to luxury or was used to it. Fang Hao said, some time ago, someone did invite me here for a meal. If it weren't for Zhang Bro inviting me, I really can't afford to dine here. A single dish here could cover my salary for a month or even several months. The secretary instinctively asked, who invited you here? Achin, why bother asking so clearly? My little brother has such abilities, naturally, he has a discerning eye. Shang Yun interjected. Well, I was too impulsive. Little uncle, don't blame me for my earlier slip of the tongue. The secretary expressed her apologies and self-blame. Fang Hao said, it's nothing. If it wasn't for Zhang Bro, I wouldn't be able to afford this place. We don't have any secrets with Zhang Bro, we can talk about anything. Oh, it's him? No wonder I saw him looking spirited last time. So it turns out it's thanks to little brother's miraculous healing. Zhang Jun said admiringly. Meanwhile, the secretary felt secretly delighted, marveling at Fang Hao's skills. With Fang Hao's help, perhaps she and Zhang Jun could really create the fruit of love. Thinking about this, she felt that Fang Hao, as a person, was worth getting to know. She was determined to make friends with sincerity. Little uncle really holds a special place in sister-in-law's heart. Chapter 205, Overeager. After 3 rounds of drinks and a 5-course meal, the lavish and extravagant dinner came to an end. In the tea room, Fang Hao took Zhang Jun's pulse, and the results were mixed. As expected, as Fang Hao had anticipated, Zhang Jun had engaged in sexual activities prematurely, aided by the use of stimulating drugs. Regardless of whether it was intentional or not, with women like Lu Jing, the situation had already occurred. Fang Hao signaled to Zhang Jun, who then asked his secretary to leave the room. "Bro, how's my situation?" Zhang Yun inquired. "Fang bro, you seem to be a bit overeager," Fang Hao responded. "Overeager? My, Fang bro, that's quite a vivid expression, a double entendre indeed." Zhang Jun chuckled, realizing the terrifying aspect of facing a genius doctor who could even delve into his private life. Not avoiding the topic, Zhang Jun explained, "You know, I've been in the hospital since I was diagnosed with late-stage liver cancer 2 years ago. I haven't left the ward, let alone touched a woman. With my recovery now, I can't wait to compensate these women who waited for me for 2 years. They've been idle, and others have used them. Now that I'm recovered, I want to make sure they all get a share." Fang Hao neither approved nor commented. A man with 500 properties should not be analyzed with ordinary thinking. He could only silently give a thumbs up. Zhang Jun continued, "So, is there any harm to me?" "At the moment, no. As long as you follow the recovery plan, regularly take medication, you'll maintain your current condition." When examining Zhang Jun's pulse, Fang Hao noticed that he hadn't fully recovered, but the situation hadn't worsened either. Zhang Jun asked, "Are there any precautions? Like signs of trouble? Bloody urine? If that happens, you need to rush to the hospital or find me for treatment." "Bloody urine. I'll remember that. Is that the only thing?" "That's the most straightforward. As for other symptoms like occasional dizziness, fatigue, or lower back pain after night activities, you should also pay attention. Once or twice is fine, but if it happens frequently, it should be taken seriously. Only bloody urine requires immediate attention." "Bro, if I really have bloody urine, will I hiccup?" "It shouldn't, but neither of us wants that scenario. Zhang bro, you still need to take care of your health." "Got it, bro. Every time I talk to you, I feel there's hope for survival. You're truly my lifesaver." Zhang Jun was delighted, and he called a Qin in to give Fang Hao a red envelope. Fang Hao didn't refuse. Zhang Jun then asked, "How's your goal going?" "The one about buying a house in Tianjifeng." He was referring to Fang Hao's plan to purchase a property in Tianjifeng. Fang Hao replied, "Coincidentally, I had some interaction with Su Jia. Everything is fine on her end. She said as long as I handle the political review and meet the capital verification, she will give me the green light." "That's good. Getting 1 out of 5 settled is already quite fast. In reality, if you manage to handle 3 of them, the rest won't be difficult. Your main challenge now is to make money. In this regard, you can consult a Qin more. She's a top financial expert, adept at buying and selling stocks and investing in funds. She's an expert in this field." Upon hearing this, Fang Hao had a sudden realization. With close to 5 million in hand, he should consider investing the money to make it grow. He said, "In that case, I have investment plans in the future. Little sister-in-law, you must help me with advice." "No problem. You have my phone number and WeChat. If there's anything you don't understand, just ask me." The little sister-in-law readily agreed. Establishing a relationship based on her expertise would make their connection stronger. Next, the 3 of them chatted over tea. 10 minutes later, Fang Hao received a call from the hospital. One of the babies delivered earlier was experiencing difficulty breathing and needed him to come back for an examination. The evening banquet ended abruptly. Watching Fang Hao leave, Zhang Jun and his secretary got into the car. The secretary asked, "What were you discussing behind my back?" Thinking about the vivid expression overeager, Zhang Jun chuckled and said, "My brother here is naturally suited to be a doctor. He didn't explicitly say it, but I believe that just by examining my pulse, he knows everything about what I've done with my body." "Really? Is he that amazing? Give me an example." "He said I was overeager." "Overeager about what?" "Think about what you did to me last night and what you want to do to me later." "Oh, that. You men are indeed incorrigible, filled with naughty thoughts and jokes." "This isn't a joke, it's a conclusion drawn by my brother from his examination. He said I'm fine, but I need to be careful. Achin, I'm confident now. We can definitely have our own child." "Yeah, I believe it too." Fang Hao hurried back to the hospital, checked the baby's condition, and found that the difficulty in breathing was caused by an issue with formula feeding. The powdered formula provided by the baby's family had not completely dissolved, causing clumps that blocked the baby's throat. Since it was the formula provided and fed by the baby's family, Fang Hao didn't say much. After some reminders, he walked out of the obstetrics and gynecology building and found his wife had come, bringing the children with her. "Husband, they wanted to see you, so I brought them. Do you want them to stay in your dormitory? If so, I'll leave." Suro's eyes narrowed, a hint of a smile on her lips, very content. Helpless, Fang Hao's wife had used the children to tie him down, so he could only go home. At home, Zhofan was reading a book. Seeing Fang Hao enter, she lowered her reading glasses, glanced at Fang Hao, and thought to herself that her daughter bringing the children had indeed brought Fang Hao back. Her daughter knew how to handle Fang Hao. Fang Hao greeted them and then asked the children to take a bath. This time, when Suro went inside, Yue Xia took advantage of the gap when Suro went to the restroom in their room. She ran inside and played in the shower with Tian Tian and Little Tiger. Fang Hao didn't stop her. When Suro came out, she was dissatisfied. She said to Fang Hao, "Yue Xia is a girl. Why did you let her take a shower with the boys? I won't say anything if it's with Tian Tian, but now there's also Little Tiger. Just 3 or 4 years old, what do they understand?" Fang Hao said so, but he still let Yue Xia come out and asked Suro to take her to another bathroom for washing. Zhofan cleared her throat, gestured for Fang Hao to come over, and said, "Do you really not know who the person outside is?" "Uncertain. Why do you ask?" "A bit strange. Do you suspect anyone?" "Not sure. Not confident or don't want to say." "It's right, after all, evidence is needed for this. Otherwise, everyone's face is not easy to save. But if you let Suro resign, that's not bad. I just noticed that Suro's work has been too smooth these past 2 or 3 years. That Jiangdong Group is not a simple company, there's someone influential behind it. If you suspect the person Suro values at Jiangdong, I can only say, you are very likely to be correct." Fang Hao suddenly shivered, his mother-in-law was supporting him. Could it be that his mother-in-law valued the person behind Suro more than him and didn't have confidence in him? This was troublesome, but it aligned with his current choice. Because if his mother-in-law supported the divorce, there would be much less resistance. He quickly asked, "Mom, why are you saying this?" "Why?" "Because Zoyun agreed to your reckless suggestion. She let Suro take a leave without pay, and after giving birth, she can return to work at any time. Moreover, she also provided a compensation of 500,000. This seems a bit unreasonable." "Mom, are you suggesting that this money might not be from Jiangdong Group but from the person who changed the way of giving it?" Fang Hao suddenly felt a lump in his throat.